Hello everybody, welcome to what is, I think, this may be the fourth video of today. There's going to be a lot of content that's dropping today for coverage wise, and I think that's going to be the scheme of things for the rest of the week. So yeah, keep locked to the channel. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. I'm up for it. Hope you're up for it as well, to kind of like see what's going to be dropping. And in particular in this video, we're going to go over the Kraven Spotlight, new champion that's going to be dropping very, very soon. And this is pretty exciting. The champion is modeled incredibly well. You can see it on screen right now. I love it. We've probably gone over the motion comic, which, as a lot of you know, the motion comics usually have like gameplay of the new champion or champions dropping for the month, and it's one of these situations where a lot of people within the community knew that Kraven the Hunter was going to be dropping, and it seems to be that Kabam are following this kind of trend of only dropping one champion for December ongoing. I think that's just based on the fact that, you know, what time, like the amount of times that the animation department and abilities kind of creating these champions, 2 champions a month for the good chunk of the year, does seem quite like excessive. So this must be a new thing now, to only add in 23 champions a year, which I get. That's the thing. In some ways, it's good to kind of like not have extensive amounts so players can like get around new champions coming into the game. Anyway, I digress. Kraven the Hunter. Let's get into it. Let's have a look at him. So skill champion, as a lot of us know. This is good. I mean, I don't think we were expecting anything more than for Kraven the Hunter, but the appearance wise, it looks amazing. I must say that the kind of the animation department, the people that design these champions from a look perspective, I think it's one of the if not the best Marvel game out there that kind of models these characters, because they just look sick. That's just the main thing. Anyway, let's get into this. Kraven the Hunter's playstyle is all about trapping the opponent and then punishing them. He places a trap with an SP1, and it stays in the arena until it triggers or it is replaced. Pushing an unprepared opponent into a trap is even more beneficial for Kraven than allowing the opponent into the trap. But once the opponent is trapped, Kraven's attacks and effects are even more deadly. Kraven is not your average champion. This is a high skill use champion, and to get the best out of him, you're going to have to change your playstyle and max out those synergies and masteries. Wow, okay, so that's a lot there for December to kind of go like, right, this champion requires a lot more than you might think. Especially with a lot of champions, like, you know, playstyle for playing Ghost, playing other different champions where you kind of like doing different things, you know, excessively swiping or swiping back and forth with Kitty Pryde. You name it, there's champions out there, so this must be hopefully something new. It's a jungle fighter, heavy attack, first hit inflicts a non-stacking disorient debuff, decreasing block proficiency and defensive ability accuracy. Nice. Critical hits inflict a bleed debuff, deal 557.76 over 8 seconds. Okay, nice. This is an easy bleed rotation champion. When debuffed, each time Kraven receives a non-damaging debuff, reduce the duration of the non-damaging debuff by 10% for the rest of the fight, max 8 stacks. So that's basically saying like he can be not stun immune, but kind of like that reduces down things like the parry mastery. So that that's going to be very annoying for something like Alliance Wars defense, like a defender. He's going to be annoying as hell, especially if you can't get him down in a very short space of time. It will be about pace and quick movement. It's going to be the thing with him. So SP1, if the opponent moves into a trap, it springs and deals a burst of damage and roots them. Oh, root. So this basically is going to have the root mechanic as a debuff. So that's going to be quite interesting, because we've not seen that in the game since the last time root was put in as a tester. You know, Kabam were looking for opportunities to put it in, but there we go. If the opponent is pushed into the trap by heavy or special 2, Kraven has a 100% chance to place a new trap when the root expires. Rooted champions cannot move but can still attack, block, and dodge. Activating a special attack removes root and prevents it from applying. And that's just the thing of just kind of going like, right, you'll have to find a champion that builds power quite quickly. And there are champions out there. You could have like Dragon Man as a good counter for that if you don't like Root. I'm not a massive fan of Root myself, but that's just the thing of having a champion that has maybe a special attack that's kind of ready to go in order to kind of get yourself out of it, so to speak. And then while the opponent is rooted, Kraven's dash attacks become unstoppable. Great. His damage over time debuffs are paused, and then he gains a critical rating of 1,400. I think then this is the case of having champions that, I want to say that, doesn't Dragon Man have the slow debuff? So if he does have that, then that's a good counter for building power quickly and then hitting through. While the opponent is rooted, their combat power rate is reduced by 37.5. There you go. There you go. So that's not nice, but it is what it is. Abilities. Oh, crossfight. Traps also inflict a crossfight suppression passive on the opponent, reducing combat power rate by 6.25%. For this and the next 5 fights, max 2 stacks. Traps cannot suppress opponents with natural class advantage. So that's what is it, like mutants? So you can't do against mutants. So that may be a case of kind of using mutant champions. Might be a case of using something like a Horseman Synergy. Maybe it's a case of using Archangel could be an option against this. Just considering like options, but you know, I haven't seen a champion, I haven't played against a champion, so I don't know. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday and try and do a guide. So when the opponent is trapped while suffering from 2 stacks of suppression, their combat power rate is reduced by a total of 50%. Man, there's a lot of utility that could be utilized with Kraven. So yeah, I think it's going to be it's pretty funny, pretty fun, especially to play as him, not play against him. I think that's the case. SP1, Kraven sets a trap in the opponent location. The trap arms after 5 seconds and last until triggered. New traps replace existing ones. As a defender, traps are placed at the location and arm immediately. Traps are not affected by ability accuracy reduction. Damn. If the opponent is already rooted by a trap, critical damage rating is increased. So that's extra potency there. Bleed effects are paused, gain a non-stacking true accuracy buff, ignoring evade and auto block. Man, that's going to be handy, especially if you're looking for an option against something like, what is it? Penny Parker this month obviously has been a new addition to like the season AQ, so that's kind of like as a new boss counter. You got so many options there. Your Modok counter, any of the evade Spideys. So yeah, you could see some real interesting ones here. As a mercenary, depending if he is a mercenary, and that's something to kind of like check, which as soon as the update goes in, we'll be able to, you know, check out. If the champion is a hashtag mercenary, this could be a really good option against variant 8. And it's kind of weird, isn't it, that a variant 8 potential counter is put in a month after that this is put in. I think they did this before with kind of like instances like this. But yeah, this could be a really cool option, especially to take against Symbiote Spider-Man, and as well various other champions in that, because this is a really cool champion build so far. Let's read on. On activation with the SP2, gain a precision buff, increasing critical rate by 1081 for 20 seconds, triggering a trap refresh. This effect max 5 stacks. And the first hit is unblockable, inflicting poison debuff, reducing health recovery by 30% and dealing 2324 in direct damage. If the opponent is rooted, refresh all bleed debuffs. And developer notes the best way to trigger a trap is by pushing the opponent into a trap with an SP2. You get a refresh of all your bleeds, increasing your poison duration. I mean, you're playing a game of strategy here in any case. So there's an element of strategy to push the champion back over what seems to be on the arena battle a trap. This is something really cool. This I'm up for. I like an element of strategy. I like this kind of like new twist on things. It's just a case of going like, look, let's see it in action. Let's see if it's good, because it could be completely rubbish and we're then disappointed by what we get back. But also, with the SP2, the Way of the Hunter, I think that's meant to be like SP3, so I think there's a typo there. So on SP3, gain a cruelty buff, increasing critical damage rating by 233 until Kraven is knocked down. If the opponent is rooted, they gain no power during the special, and the potency of the cruelty buff is increased by 100%. So you're going to have to make sure to do that. If the opponent is not rooted by a trap, then a trap is placed. Even if not armed, the trap springs, and regardless of the opponent's position. Cool. In general, Kraven won't be chasing SP3 since he's better at triggering trap immediately, but long fights, the SP3 offers a way to boost his bleed damage. So I think that's just SP1, SP2 rotation, and some of the other elements that that Kabam are kind of saying is the best way to go with this. Nothing mentioned about doing anything with the heavy attack, but I think it's slightly mentioned. And then the signature ability. While the opponent is rooted, dash attacks grant a trample passive, making the attacks unblockable except against well-timed blocks. While the opponent is rooted, all bleeds and critical bleeds multiply their potency by 200% of Kraven's critical damage. I like that. That indeed gives a little bit extra potency on damage. The trample passive guarantees that Kraven can always break the defenses of a trapped opponent, but the real power of the ability is the substantial root in the boost in damage he gets from critical bleed. So that is excellent, adds a little bit extra to it, and I am well up for this being something you can control, rooting the enemy, because a lot of the times it feels like when we did that root test, you remember that quest that came out, at least to say like, you know, you were the one that was being rooted, but what if you could root the enemy? That is going to be fun, especially because you can literally control it in a strategic way to be kind of at distance as the enemy is rooted down. And you're there like, you're chilling and thinking about what is your next play. I love that because you can take control of the pace of the battle. Not to say you can at the moment, but at least to say you have this extra bit of control, which I love. I think is going to be great. And there's so many different synergies, it looks like, that you've got Obsession for men. Kraven once per fight, when receiving damage that would result in a knockout, gain an immortality buff, preventing death for 8 seconds. Great, that's similar to Hercules. There's also pressure points on critical hit, inflict a fragility debuff for 5 seconds when attacking a fragility opponent, increases critical damage rating by 200. With Sasquatch, did we get? No, we didn't get anything there. Kraven's true accuracy also ignores the effects of miss. Great. That's an extra little spice there with Venom Pool, which is a great addition. For Agent Venom, but you know, Venom Pool, nice. And then you've got, with this synergy, Kraven is bleed immune. Bleed immune champions are inflicted by a poison debuff, instead reducing health recovery by 30% and dealing 70% of attack and direct damage. Nice. Okay, that's great. So yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. I'm interested with some of those synergies, kind of like mixed up together, sound really good. Sound very potent, and as well just sound, yeah, it sounds like a really fun champion, and looks on paper to be a new direction, but at the same time a fun direction. So I'm all about that. I think that's great. And what are your thoughts? Put it in the comment section down below. I think for me it's a case of like how that root mechanic is used against the enemy AI, which, let's face it, the enemy AI is so scuffy at times. It's nice to be able to kind of like do some damage, but at the same time as a defender, I think this is going to be one of the more annoying champions, and we'll have to see like how this interacts. But yeah, Kraven the Hunter looks good on paper and is impressive. I would say with that extra synergy to bypass the likes of miss, it does help out situations. And yeah, really looking forward to testing this champion out in the coming days, weeks, months, or whatever. And that's been a video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check out the other video talking about the motion comic earlier today, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that will be. Lots of stuff on. Keep locked to the channel. Bye-bye.